Okay.
All right, well, as it is 6:34, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Just as a reminder to everybody, this is being conducted as a virtual meeting on the Zoom platform, which is, of course, in compliance with sunshine laws, given the situation with the pandemic. I would presume, Jim, that meetings will continue to be in this platform at least through June 4th.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so with that, we are officially underway. The first item of business is the April meeting minutes. Those had been sent out. I included them with the invite, as well as had them on, Kim had posted them on the Google Drive. I just noticed a couple of minor corrections, spelling of John McKee's name, and I added a little specificity around one of the locations about the Coventry Woods and some of the mitigation that Parks and Rec had requested. Were there any other comments on the meeting minutes?
I was wondering if the minutes should reflect that this was a Zoom virtual meeting, maybe just at the top next to the date or something, and just in parentheses that it's virtual, so that in 5 years from now, when you go back through these, that you know that it was not, we were not together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, we can certainly add that. Any other comments?
For the record, even through the pandemic and plague, we still conducted our EAC meetings.
Yes, we did. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April meeting.
I'll move that.
Aye, aye. I second that.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, I heard everybody. We're unanimous. Excellent. All right, the next item on the agenda is, as I think everyone can see, we have our new township manager who has joined the call. Erica Batdorf joined when Kevin retired. So Erica, I was wondering if you could just give a brief introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself, and I don't know, maybe you can even tell us how you see yourself working with the EAC.
Sure, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. So I was the township manager at West Vincent Township for almost 4 years. Prior to that, I worked at the borough of Pottstown, and I'm a resident of North Coventry Township. And a few weeks into the position, even though we're dealing with COVID-19 and all the complexity and unusual circumstances we're all dealing with, we're working through projects, and I'm diving into things, getting to know everyone. So through Zoom, which is fine, and I'm working through things and getting to know more intimately. I am certainly when it's not COVID-19, I consider this open door environment where I really like to collaborate and work with everyone, connect and understand what everyone is passionate about and your volunteer interests. So please use me as a liaison to the board. You can tell I'm at home working through this. You might hear my kids right now. But I stay busy. I love the outdoors. That's one of my passions, transportation, economic development, and also combining that with open space and everything that North Coventry Township has to offer in terms of the environmental attributes as well. So I look forward to working with each of you and understanding the various interests and goals that you have in mind and working alongside you on that. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you. One of the things also is, and you may not be able to answer now, but would love to know what it is you want to see the EAC do for the township. I guess what I would say is, we have over the last year added new members. We've grown. We've got a couple of folks here on the call who are not appointed to the EAC because we're only a 5-member commission or council. But we've got some good volunteers who are getting more involved and more busy. And so I think the energy level on the EAC is kind of ramping up. And I feel like we've been a little bit underutilized, and would like to see the EAC be more fully utilized by the township.
That's great. I think whenever in starting this position and understanding different roles and the township, even from all the ordinances, from the building and facility side of things, what we can do to try and partner with people who you need your experts, you need the people that are passionate to look at things in a different light and get your perspective on all the things that we do on a daily basis. So, these are energy saving, sustainable practices. What are we doing as a model for the community? That's really what it is. So when I saw that there was a possible, connection between Parks and Rec and, some of the things going on with the Public Works facility where you can do these model projects and try, to work on some connections through education, programming, I think that is a strength. So it's cross collaboration that way to, I think, move some projects in the township forward and kind of engage with the residents in that way. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. And, even given this current situation of, COVID, I think that people, in terms of participating in the government process and being engaged and the way that we can do it, and we're adapting to this, I think it's going to actually open up a opportunity for people and, through social media, the website, different outlets to try and focus on the initiatives of the EAC so that we can better be a model for the community. So I think it's that, and you do it through, I need to understand fully the ordinances as it relates to the EAC's mission and the mission for the township. So, and we have the comprehensive plan, really great guiding document. I am not sure if you have worked on any goal setting as a committee in terms of things that you want to accomplish. I think that is always a good thing. And then strategically, we can move forward and see where there are natural ways to work on, different projects, whether that maybe some of ththese things have been done, but energy audits and different ways that we can actually save some money to the township, but also also do some good things in terms of energy savings. Those are the kinds of things I think as a practitioner that would help all of us. So I like creative ideas to.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, for the township. So.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, you'll get an idea of the things that we're working on, as we go through the agenda of this meeting, and obviously, welcome your ideas, and if it's helpful, we can certainly also do other offline meetings, to make sure that you feel like you've got the background and information that you need, to work with us.
I do know I had a good collaboration with Green Valley's Watershed Association, French and Pickering Creeks Trust, Natural Lands, and the Greater Valley Forge Transportation Management Association. I just had a call with them last week, and we were talking with a number of municipalities, Phoenixville, the Lower Marions, talking about how our world is changing right now, where there's an energy around looking at how people are using public spaces, how people are using this work from home and the other impacts that are happening to the environment, and all these other unintended. Well, there's no intention, but the consequences of what's going on here and people's behavior. So it's very interesting. So anything like that that's interrelated is very much on the forefront right now in terms of study with these organizations. So
Okay.
if I come across anything of interest, I will certainly send it your way.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll continue on into the agenda. One of the things that I wanted to do is, at our last meeting, we had talked about the potential to conduct some webinars, and both Corey and Jesse had sent some potential presentations that we could do, hold as webinars, as educational, environmental educational webinars, presumably for our residents through a platform like this. And I know as we discussed it last month, Corey, just based on the title of yours, it seemed like it would be a perfect introduction, into sort of a series that we could then continue.
Right. Yeah, sorry, John, I just saw your email a little bit ago. But yeah, the presentation that I put together, it's probably about 40 minutes, and I could easily stretch that out to 45. And from the time that I gave a very similar version of that presentation, it's very easy to get 15 minutes of questions.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised, if we could fill an hour pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that kind of made sense to me. I mean, obviously there's a lot of great information there. But, since so many of us spend so much of our days sitting and doing exactly this, there might be a little bit of fatigue. So I don't know that people are necessarily going to be up for, an hour and a half presentation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I could do it in like 40 minutes pretty easily, and then, see what kind of questions we get. If we get 15 minutes, 20 minutes of questions, great. If not, that's okay too.
Okay. No, that sounds great. I guess then I was thinking, that the next sort of chapter for that would be the presentation that Jesse had sent. And I think both of you, I'm trying to remember actually, Jesse, did you send yours to everyone on the council? I don't know if everyone has seen it. You're muted, Jesse.
I think I just sent it to you, and so that you could put it in the Google Drive or do whatever needed to be done with it.
Yeah, it is in the EAC Google Drive, so anybody, all of you should have access to that. You can take a look at it at any time. And then I think same as for Corey, if you can get that to, like a 40 to 45 minute presentation, so that you allow, I mean, we always have to leave a little extra time, because you won't start right on time. You want to have time for a few questions afterwards, and probably keep it to an hour. I think that's probably ideal. So I guess the thing to do is to look at availability of, when do we want to hold a meeting like that, at least the first one. So I don't know, Corey, if there are any limitations for you. I mean, I'm thinking, like an early evening timing.
Yeah, let me bring up my calendar. How soon are you thinking about doing something like this?
Well, I know we want to have plenty of time to get it advertised and announced, by email, by posting it on the website and things like that. I don't know. I would say we want probably at least a couple of weeks. I don't know, Jim or Erica, what do you think in terms of how much time we want to give?
I think you need a couple of weeks with, the holiday week coming up. And so I think, some point in June.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, the first week of June, I'm good. I'm good Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays before 7:30. I'm sorry. So Tuesday night I have an event from 5:30 to 7:30. But Monday I'm free. Wednesday I'm free. And then Thursday from 7:30 to 8:30 I'm busy. I could do an earlier event than that.
Okay.
And that would be the same for both the week of June 7th and 8th, and then the following week of June as well. I have a similar schedule.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at that. And of course, the other thing is, try to avoid conflict with other township meetings. And other than that, I don't know if there are any limitations from a township perspective. Jim or Erica, do you know of any limitations like that?
No, no, just so we don't step on any of the other meetings, but I don't know. Erica, do you?
No, no, I agree. As long as there's not a conflict, I can't think of anything else that would be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll want to certainly figure out the date. Jesse, we should figure out a date for yours as well. And then I think, certainly promote it as this will be an ongoing series, so that there's, sort of an expectation that folks will, and that'll give us even more lead time for all the future presentations.
Are you wanting to make them monthly or?
Monthly seems reasonable to me.
Is this for residents or other township EAC personnel?
This would be open to the public. Certainly we, want to promote it within our township, but I think all of us know people in other townships who would potentially be interested, including the connections we have at other municipalities and their EACs. Perhaps we can even get them to promote, within their townships. There's no reason not to cast a pretty wide net.
John, you could also promote it through the park, the Pottstown Metropolitan Regional.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so I think we'll want to look at all the different ways that we can get the word out, and get it out as early as possible.
So I would be fine either like July 8th or July 13th. Those are two potential days that I can do mine.
Okay. Yeah, I would think the 13th might be a good one because of, just getting a little further from the holiday. Okay.
I think that might be a BOS meeting. I'm trying to look.
Okay.
Yeah, July 13th is a BOS meeting.
The 20th be better?
That's an EAC meeting, so.
Yeah, that'd be the third Monday.
I'm gonna write that in my planner right now.
Or if other days of the week work.
Friday is probably not a good. I think people have better things to do. I'm hoping they have better things to do on Friday night.
Well, come on, it could be happy hour with native plants.
There you go. It's like planting with a twist, but in your living room Zooming.
So, John, I'm just looking at the calendar real quick. So I do have a little bit of flexibilities with my Tuesdays. So it looks like Wednesday night, the Planning Commission meets both nights, and if they don't, the Deer Management Committee meets. But many of the Tuesdays look pretty free. I just see Tuesday the 2nd is open. I mean, that's a possibility. It only gives us 2 weeks though, but that might be doable. And then Tuesday the 9th, I see at 7 p.m. the fire company has a meeting, and the Northern Federation of CC has a meeting. I don't know if those are things, I guess, that we would not want to interfere with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it would be an issue interfering with the fire company because I don't think there's going to be a lot of, cross conflict there. Northern Fed, I don't know. Jim, are they still, well, of course, that's going to be, yeah, that's the 9th.
Right.
Are they meeting virtually? I presume they are.
So do we maybe want to tentatively put down either Tuesday, June 2nd or Tuesday, June 16th maybe as potential options? I don't see any conflict on the township calendar.
Yeah, let's look at those and figure out which of those would be optimal.
Okay.
And then obviously Erica or Jim, we'd be looking to you to set the Zoom meeting up as soon as possible so that we could post the link and make it available.
Or I had, I'm sorry, Tuesday, 16th, and the other date was
Tuesday, June 2nd.
June 2nd as an option.
Mhm.
Yeah, a little sooner. I mean, if we got things set up in the next couple of days, we'd have a week and a half, 2 weeks to advertise, so that could be feasible.
Okay.
July 22nd, does that work for not conflicting with anything else? Or that you guys know of?
See. Let me pull up the calendar real quick. Yes, on the township calendar, there's nothing on July 22nd.
Yeah, that looks okay.
Open night.
Okay. Yeah, let's tentatively look at that then, Jesse.
Yep.
And then could I tentatively have August before school starts again?
Yes, of course, Kim. Let's see. And what dates, are there any particular dates that work best for you for that?
My schedule is free.
No
No vacations, nothing going on.
No travel?
No.
Okay.
When do you think school will start, Kim?
I don't think it will start until the week before Labor Day like they had planned.
Okay. Yeah, so right now on the township calendar, Tuesday, August 4th is open, Tuesday, August 18th is open, and then Thursday the 6th and Thursday the 13th and Thursday the 27th are all open. And Labor Day this year is a little late. I think it's September 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about the 18th then?
Yeah, sounds good. And I'm trying to remember, Phoebe, had we also volunteered you to do one of these?
No, you hadn't.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. I was trying to
I was
recall.
trying to be quiet here.
You're not doing a very good job.
I know.
Well, I didn't know if there was something that you would consider. I mean, obviously you'd have a few months to sort of plan that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. The only presentation I have already done is a native plants once, and since Jesse's doing that,
Okay.
I don't want to steal her thunder there. So we don't need two of them.
Understood. Okay.
More than
So I will
merrier.
think about that and let you know.
Yeah.
Never have too many native plants. I'm sure that I'm not going to
That's
cover
true.
all there is.
That's true. And Bill, is there anything that you would want to present or talk about at a venue like that?
To be honest, not that I could think of, not in the format of the experts.
You sure
Bill,
you couldn't
are
make something up?
Aren't you involved? Are you involved with the Sojourn?
No,
No, I thought you were. Okay.
I've been on it, but I'm not involved with it.
Okay. All right. Well, I would certainly encourage all of us to consider things and see what we can pull together. I mean, we can certainly start with the planning these first 3 out, see what kind of attendance we get, and also see how things are changing when it rolls around to September and beyond, and whether we would be doing perhaps live events, or if things like this will become a little more popular when people realize they can take a educational course from the comfort of their own dining room. All right, so I've got June either 2nd or 16th, July 22nd, August 18th. So we'll at least pencil those in and start working on promotional material to get out on the website. And I think before we finalize anything, we'll check in with our presenters to make sure that it's kind of what you had in mind and is being properly, advertised and promoted.
Sorry, Corey, what was your final date?
So we either have the 2nd of June or the 16th.
Okay,
as
so
options.
those 2 possibilities.
Mhm.
Okey doke.
All right, that sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Now I want to move on and talk about the Kenilworth tree plan. So this is something that actually came through from the Parks and Recreation Commission. There were several trees that had to be taken down kind of along the entrance to Kenilworth Park. And they've worked with, I believe, Michael Lane to come up with a plan to replant some trees in that area. So what I'm going to do here is, if I can, I don't know, Erica, if I am allowed to share content during the meeting.
You should be able to. Yeah, just hit share screen.
Okay, share screen, yes. All right.
Just open whatever you're going to show.
And
on
it
your.
should be, you should see an overhead photo of Kenilworth Park. Is everyone able to see that?
No, it didn't come up. Do you have it? You have it open on your?
No, yeah, it says you are screen sharing, and I have the photo open.
You'll have to choose which thing you're sharing.
Okay,
there you
There,
go.
you got it.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's just a little slow for it to finally display for everyone. So this is along Park Avenue, and I'm going to use my pointer here. So this is let's see, this is a parking area, the street coming in here, and this is the walking path. Now these shadows of trees that you can see here, those were some oak trees that just had so much die-off in the middle that they had to be taken down. They were pin oaks. And so what has been proposed is to plant shade trees, as you can see on this side of the walking path, and some smaller understory trees on between the walking path and the street. And the one thing, obviously, that I wanted to make sure of is, for one, that that overall this kind of makes sense, especially to our master gardener. But also just to take a look at the species of trees that are proposed here. And I can tell you when Jay Erb, who chairs the Parks and Recreation Commission, saw this, he commented right away on the London plane tree, and I see Corey nodding.
was the
Yeah,
first
so
one I
the
looked at, yeah.
suggestion was, put a sycamore there instead of the London plane tree. But there were actually a number of reasons why Michael proposed the London plane tree, largely having to do with disease resistance. And the struggle that so many of the sycamores have had. So I don't know, Corey, if you're having a allergic reaction to seeing a London plane tree proposed.
I mean, yeah, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day who wanted to plant some sycamores, and they are messy. Besides the London plane tree, I would probably, try to put something else in there. I mean, I see there's a couple, well, there's a white oak and a willow oak. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad spot for something like a red oak. They don't have quite as high a survival rate sometimes, but if it's being taken care of, it should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably do well in that area. I mean, I wouldn't die if there's a London plane tree. Like, they're not bad looking trees, but they're not ideal, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to look too to see if there's a native tree we can put in. And off the top of my head, I don't know one other than what Corey just talked about, but I would like to look and see what's a better tree than that one.
Okay. All right. So I guess let's do this as an official motion. So because what we would be doing is making a recommendation to the Parks and Recreation Commission to replace the London plane tree with a native shade tree species. So do I have a motion like that?
Yeah, I motion it. I mean, I don't know why we would plant anything other than something native. Totally for the.
Do I hear a second to that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that carries. So we'll make a recommendation that the London plane tree be replaced with a native tree species and suggest red oak.
Yeah,
All right.
I think anything that would have like red foliage would be kind of nice, because I think the linden could be yellow, the willow oak could be yellow, the sugar maple will probably be yellow, the red maple of course will be red,
Mm-hmm.
white oak will probably be yellow, river birch I think is yellow. There's a lot of yellow foliage trees, in the fall. So like another red native would be kind of fun just to give it a little bit more color.
Okay.
I mean, the hawthorns and, well, at least the crab apples, I think turn red. I'm not sure exactly what that cultivar is, but a lot of them turn reddish color.
All right. And I can make this available to everybody on the shared Google Drive so that you can have if you want to take a little more time and look it over. All right. All right, then we can move on to our next agenda item, which is I had reached out to Jesse and to Justin regarding the pollinator garden at Kenilworth. Actually, Patty and I were over at Kenilworth Park and ran into somebody from the Parks and Recreation Commission. So it looked like you had made contact, Jesse. I think you had emailed Colleen Skelton from the Parks and Rec Commission. Have you guys done anything beyond that?
No, she emailed. I emailed her saying I was interested in helping. I had some plants that I could even donate to the project, and the reply I got back was, it made it sound like she wasn't ready for planting yet, that she was trying to prep the site more. It sounded like she wanted to do some further tarping, and was looking into mulching sources. I'll have to look at the email again, but the feeling I got from it was that she wasn't looking to move on this super quickly. I
Okay.
didn't know if maybe I was just getting the wrong impression.
Yeah.
But it sounded more like she thought there was a lot of remediation just to the site that needed to be done before planting for the garden could even start.
Yeah, that's certainly what she was working on when we happened to run into her there. And I don't know, Patty, was there any further discussion of that at the most recent Parks and Recreation meeting? You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, there was discussion about, this has been an ongoing project, pretty much meaning it's nothing has happened. And we're really trying to get it to move along. So there was some discussion about turning it into a raised bed, so that rather than taking years to actually solarize what's there, and that we could just raise it, get the planning done. And then it morphed into a big discussion about whether or not there would be wood or pavers and it was way too far into the dirt. It was like, okay, you guys come up with a plan and then let's move forward with it. So, perhaps Jesse, I guess I would suggest if you could reach out to Colleen again, and maybe the two of you can just talk about not so much what's happening now, but a bigger design for it. I think that's maybe where she could really use some help, just to get plans in place so that we can then move forward with the plans.
So you want me to encourage her to, we'll just go ahead with it. Like we don't need to prep and get something in there that we can.
Right. I don't know. We're getting beyond the planting season and the good planting season and everything now. And we have this discussion most springs about this garden. So if my feeling is, and this is just my feeling, and I'm more than happy to work on it too, is if we can just get a plan in place for it. The site is there, the signage is there. The discussion has been we either need to fix it up or just mow it under and turn it into lawn because it's kind of unsightly. So I would really like to see it move forward, but I think there needs to be more input and enthusiasm and just, or even if the plan is on paper, so that it can then be handed off to multiple volunteers. I think it's too much for just Colleen to do.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to her again and see what her specifications are size-wise, and I can help come up with a plan for plants to fill that space. And even if we start with part of the space, we'll have something done. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that would be great. And you can, obviously you can also just go to Kenilworth Park and see where it is. It's pretty obvious.
I feel like the last time we were there, I saw what I think was the space and some partial plastic covering something or other, and a few invasives that I noticed at that time, which is probably better if she's been trying to do some remediation. But yeah, I'll have to take better note of the exposure and everything and get some good plants for her.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, thank you. And that actually does kind of dovetail into the native plant list. So I know after our last EAC meeting, Phoebe, you had, I think, updated I believe the spreadsheet is the very latest. Is that correct?
That's correct. The spreadsheet that I sent out, yeah.
Yeah, and that is also posted on the Google Drive. What, in terms of next steps, so, and just Erica, for your background, one of the things that we're thinking we would like to do is to have this native plant list and to, potentially have that become part of at the very least, a native plant resolution for the township, or depending on, guidance we get from you and from the supervisors, potentially, a native plant sort of ordinance, sort of giving a very lengthy list of plants that are native to our area that should be used in any planting. So that's kind of where we're going. I don't know if, for example, Corey, I know you had worked on that list, and I know Jesse and Justin had at least, I believe, begun to review it. So I'm looking at what's the next step? How do we get it finalized and agreed to?
Well, I think that Corey and Jesse and Justin and I need to talk about what do we want really to put on the list, because that list that I have is very large. And I think if we're going to have, we probably need to break that down into some plants that we think would be ones we'd want to recommend. I mean, the list is great as a whole list, but it's a very large list, and there's certain plants on there that even though they're native, you probably don't want to plant them. So I think that we need to look at that and say, okay, these are the ones that we would think, for example, the trees are that it's fairly easy to pull out of the tree list. What are the shade trees that we think would be good? And then there's some trees for special areas like wet areas and things like that I think we want to try and designate, so that if people have a specific area they're looking at, they can go to the list. You guys agree?
Yeah, I think that the list is wonderful and exhaustive. You've covered all of the bases. It's magnificent. But I think we do pull out the rock stars and those species that are known to do well in the different conditions that people are going to find in the township and in the developments that are mostly putting in these new plantings, and give them like the top 5 or 10 options in each of the categories to choose from for that.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. And yeah, Phoebe, I would agree. I mean, the list, it's the best like comprehensive list on southeastern Pennsylvania native plants I've ever seen. It's really good. But yeah, I think, the next step would be, and maybe even more than like 5 or 10, maybe it's something like 20, depending on the category. So they do have more flexibility, but just saying, okay, like these are the ones, that are either for aesthetic purposes or functional purposes, would be the best fit, or maybe even we consider ease of obtaining the species from local nurseries and stuff. But yeah, just narrow it down to 15 or 20 or something like that per category. That's what I've seen, from other townships that I've looked at, and from I think it was Ole's that we reviewed. It seems like they kind of cut it down to, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20 trees per category that they recommended. I think that's doable.
Right, so it sounds to me like maybe what we need to do is certainly for the 3 of you or 3 or 4 of you to take a look at the list, make sure you're relatively familiar with it, and then maybe we can set up another time, sort of do a workshop meeting to go through that. And really kind of work through, well, what are the main categories that we want to have, and what plants or trees within each of those categories, would we recommend? Do you think, would it be possible if I set up a workshop like that for, I don't know, maybe sometime next week? Do you think we could have come to that at least with some preliminary ideas? Maybe not on a Monday of next week, but sometime next week.
Yeah, I could do that. That would work for me.
Yeah, I'm good any day but Tuesday.
Wednesday, I can't do Wednesday, but other than that, I'm good.
What about Thursday?
Thursday, the 28th looks good.
Ooh, that's my birthday. I can't do Thursday.
Oh no!
And I'm only available Friday.
Maybe we could try it on Monday.
Maybe we need to shoot for Monday, yes.
I could do Monday. And maybe it would be helpful, yeah, if we came to that meeting and, you know, even if we had just 30 or 40 minutes to look through, and maybe we could each like highlight our own, you know, top trees or whatever, come up with a couple categories, and we can say, okay, these are, you know, 10 trees that we think would be useful for including. And that way we'd have a good point of discussion that we could start at.
Okay.
And then narrow it down from there, expand from there.
Monday's the holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
So we could do it any time of day, is what you're saying. It wouldn't have to be in the evening.
Let's see, next week.
Quick question on the plant project. The end goal is to modify our township list to remove. Is it to remove non-natives from, you know, the developers' options, or is it to just add natives? Are we able to remove things?
Yeah, what we're looking at is just is updating it really to make it reflect native plants. So that would mean removing the non-natives. Basically, we're kind of started from scratch.
What's in our ordinance now?
Out of mental non-natives.
It's a mixture. It was a list that LTL put together
Right.
probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah, so
And it really hasn't been updated since then.
so it had to be changed to the ordinance.
Yeah, it will be if that's part of the ordinance itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if that list is.
I would suggest that in your making your list that you highlight the pollinators, Jesse, that you feel would be very good for this area. But I think we need to kind of work together, those of us who have planted pollinators and had problems. I had planted 11 milkweed plants last fall, and the geese got to them during the winter, and they plucked them right down below ground level. So all my milkweed's gone. But you know, if there could be some sort of almost a caveat for people, because people on the inner part of the township aren't going to have that problem with milkweed. It's those of us who are exposed to geese.
Well, I mean, I think there are a couple of different ways to address that. I mean, obviously, the first part is, you know, to revamp the list of recommended plants. And then, you know, certainly we can provide more guidance, but I don't think that would be part of an ordinance, right? I mean, we can put a lot of information, guidance, and suggestions on the website that wouldn't be part of the ordinance. But I think to get the, you know, exclusively native plants on the list on the ordinance, that's going to be the first step. Or not necessarily the first step, but that's kind of one aspect of it. But then the other is, yeah, let's make sure that, you know, if we can, we provide, you know, useful guidance. I mean, I think we were kind of talking about that a minute ago of you know, there's a very long list of native plants, though we wouldn't necessarily recommend planting some of them. They're perhaps not available, or perhaps they spread too quickly, or they aren't attractive, etc. They're native, but we wouldn't recommend planting them. So I think there could be a lot of recommendations that we want to put out there separate from the ordinance.
Because we're going to have the same issue with deer, for example. They're going to be
Yes.
a large part of the township that has a deer issue, and then some that don't. So we'll take it into consideration, I think, overall when we're making the list, but it's not something that we're necessarily going to be able to combat because it's an issue in general.
Sure. All right, so let's get back to, I'm not sure when we're going to be able to meet. Perhaps next week isn't going to work. I don't even know what is
How about on
meeting.
that list, just put footnotes? Number one would be, you know, if you have a lot of deer, you know, don't use this one. Number two, if you have a lot of geese, don't use this one.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there are a lot of different ways we can provide the recommendations.
Well, John, since next week doesn't look so good, how about we go for the week of June 1st?
Sounds good.
I'm free any day that week.
Corey already said that the 2nd was a possibility for his presentation.
Well, what if we did our workshop on the 2nd and his presentation on the 16th?
Yeah, the 2nd is election day, so you might want to stay away from election day.
Like Monday,
Jim, you're
the
always raining on my parade.
does Monday the 1st work?
It works for me.
It works for me.
Works for me.
All right, sounds good.
Are we going to do it in a Zoom fashion at 6:30?
Yeah, we certainly can. I've got a Zoom account and I would be happy to set that up.
Okay.
I will send it out to everyone on this call, everyone who usually receives the EAC meeting invites and agenda. And
Does it have to be
anyone
advertised?
who wants to attend, feel free to.
And so then I guess we'll plan on the 16th tentatively for the first webinar.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Gives us a little more time to advertise too.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. All right, thank you. That was a good discussion. I feel like we've got that. We've been talking about this and now I see us a path forward. So I'm very happy about that. All right, one other thing. Next item is I put it on the agenda as just the park kiosks. It turns out that given the current situation with COVID-19, of course, our parks all have multiple kiosks. Those kiosks are empty because we don't really have any events or programs or anything like that that is, that is being advertised in those kiosks. And so one of the things, and this is actually Patty's idea, that we had received a flyer in the mail, and I don't even remember what it was about exactly, but basically just anything that would promote sort of, environmental cause, healthy living, fresh air, sort of just things like that. I don't, if you get anything like that in the mail, the nice glossy papers, we're thinking that it might be nice to have those up in the kiosks just so that the kiosks don't sit completely empty. I don't know, Patty, you can probably explain it better than I can. It was your
Yeah,
sort of
John,
idea.
actually what I was looking for, like I had on the back of another calendar, I had 3 easy steps to help pollinators. So it's like plant natives, so just something like that. If any of you had access to any materials about, maybe an informational thing on amphibians or, tree of the month or just anything, it's looking they're looking kind of bare and empty, and it's an opportunity to educate. I've seen so many people in the parks that I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
People are coming to our parks that have never been in North Coventry. You can tell because they're lost in Coventry Woods. They're trying to look at their phones and figure out where they are. So it was just a request that if anybody has anything, that an opportunity to educate the public on anything that would be related to our parks that EAC might be interested in seeing. I would be happy to get those posted.
All right, so just a request from our
Yep.
friendly Parks and Recreation liaison.
So get them. to
Bugs,
you if we
anything
have-
on bugs, you know, anything. I posted, you know, anything on pollinators or got something. Speaking of bugs, sorry.
How many kiosks are there right now? Is there a map?
There
or
are 6 around Coventry Woods. There are 3 in Kenilworth Park. There is 1 at Riverbend, 1 at Riverside, 1 at Hanover. So there's quite a few. So we can make duplicates of things to put in multiple kiosks, or if there's a flood of information, we can just put one thing in you know, a different thing in each kiosk. We could actually, you could even think about making it like a hunt for parents to take their kids to find out, go get the code word out of this kiosk and learn something, or I don't know. How creative do you want to get?
Yeah, so anybody who
Sounds like
has
something for an educator. Kim, we could work on that.
yeah. Yeah, anyone has information like that, please do share. Let us know, and you know, we can make arrangements to either get you access so that you can put it up in the kiosk, or you know, I would be happy to go and put it up in a kiosk. All right, so the next agenda item I had was just some informational items. So there are, in the age of coronavirus, plenty of online courses and webinars. And there were a couple that I saw that looked looked particularly interesting. I know I'd sent everyone the one about the from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, spotted lanternfly in the spotlight. They've had their first 2 webinars, which I called in for those. They're all free and open to the public, and you don't have to register for the whole series. You can attend at any point. The next one will be June 8th. I would say so far they've been informative, but for anyone who has been sort of paying attention and looking at information on the spotted lanternfly, there wasn't a lot that's been new. Sounds like this one on June 8th might be a little bit better. They're going to be going into some of the latest research on the spotted lanternfly, and along with recommendations on best ways to manage the tree of heaven, Alanthus trees. So June 8th, 12 noon is the 3rd out of the 4. I already sent the link around. I'm happy to send it again. And then there's another one actually that the PA Department of Agriculture is putting on called, and this I just found out about it today, Spotted Lanternfly in Forest Ecosystems. So it is tomorrow beginning at 1 p.m. and it goes, and it's a long one though, it goes from 1 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. I will send that information around to everyone on the call. And then the other one is actually this Thursday. It's a webinar about open space. I also just learned about this one, about open space and the potential for converting it to meadows. So it is Thursday afternoon at 2:15 p.m. And it's about ways to take open space, convert it to meadows, basically to decrease cost of maintaining, for example, a lawn area, a mowed area. Again, I'll send that around to everyone. So that actually takes me to
those are all Penn State Extension classes?
I'm sorry, Justin, what was that?
Those are all Penn State Extension classes?
I don't know if they're all offered through Penn State. Like I said, I will send around the links to all 3 of those after the meeting tonight.
Just as a side note on the spotted lanternfly topic, I recently completed my spotted lanternfly training for businesses. In order to be able to sell bees in PA, I had to get my permit, you know, in case I was transporting bees within the state, which I'm not, but it was just one of the requirements. And it was, you know, the survey at the end asked if I learned anything new, and unfortunately I did not. It was a little elementary, to say the least.
Yeah, that was one of the topics they covered actually today in today's webinar. And yeah, I mean, it's being done to try to ensure, compliance with the spotted lanternfly quarantine, but to not be, I guess, overly burdensome to businesses. So yeah, I that doesn't surprise me that you would say that, because that's kind of the impression that I got as well, that they don't want to make it too difficult, or else people would just ignore. So it is a relatively simple thing to do to be able to get the training and to get licensed. So that's all that I had on the agenda for tonight, but I certainly will open it up to any other business, any other topics to be discussed from anyone on the call.
I have a question
Go ahead.
for Kim. Did you get a chance to look at the tadpoles in the rain gardens?
I did not. I need to go down there. I'm not so good identifying tadpoles besides size, though. I'm better with the actual frog.
Oh yeah, I mean, they all look the same.
Well, the wood frogs are small and black, and then the green frogs are bigger, like that. But
Yeah, these are all relatively small and very dark.
okay, then they could be wood frogs, which is great.
That would be good.
Yeah, I think some of them are peepers too. And I've heard some gray tree frogs out there starting. But the peepers, because I've been running around there in the evening, and I've heard some peepers in some of those areas. Yeah, I think the peepers are more concentrated towards the wetlands, but I think there's also some peepers that have moved up to those little ponds too, or rain gardens. Not are they? I guess they're supposed to be rain gardens, but they're kind of holding water like a pond.
Yeah, they are.
I'm sorry, you're talking at Hanover Meadows?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool because it's pulling in some really nice shorebirds.
Yeah.
Which once they dry up, it won't, but during migration here, but that's the bird geek thing.
I guess they were eating the tadpoles.
Hanover Meadows is now the newest hotspot, eBird hotspot in North Coventry Township. So
That's cool.
good habitat, good birds.
Chris, it sounded like you had a question or a...
Yeah, John, I think late last year, Green Valleys did testing of Chinkle Hall Run and Pigeon Creek in the Fernbrook area.
Yes.
Have you heard anything as to any results or the next steps?
I haven't heard anything. I know the last I talked with Vicky, she said that they had made the collections, obviously, and they were working on all the I think they'd done the actual analysis of the water, and they were now analyzing the data and trying to create a summary for us. But that's been probably 2 months ago since I've heard from her. So it's time for me to follow up with her again and find out, because obviously we would like to get the results of that testing and talk about them here at an EAC meeting.
Absolutely. So I think, yeah, I'm sure they're moving slowly because of the shutdown, but it's still worth following up.
Oh, definitely. And, there shouldn't, I would think, when it comes to data analysis, they should be able to do that from home.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sure thing. All right. Anything else? All right. If not, then thank you everyone for calling in. We will adjourn the meeting. It is 7:36 for the meeting minutes, Kim.
Got it.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for calling in.
Have a lot of fun over Labor Day.
Yes,
or Memorial Day, whatever it is.
either one.
Whatever.
It's a long summer this year with an
It is.
early Memorial and late Labor Day.
Take care all.
All right.
All right, take care.
Thanks a lot.
Right, all.
Good night.